patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not dishonor others. It's not it's not easily. Love does not delight in evil. It always protects. It always trusts. It hopes. Always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there's knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when the completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, talked like a child. I reasoned like a child. Put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection in a mirror. Then we'll see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three things remain: hope and love. But the greatest of these is love. Just 2,000 years ago. Put it in context. It's the first or second year of Nero's reign, Emperor Nero of Rome. So it's the beginning of the end of the glory days of Rome and events that will change the Western world forever. If you don't want to look at the Western world and you want to look at the rest of the world, something like 8 or 9% of the whole world is a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is 1,000 years after this passage. Okay? The most famous writings ever on love would be William Shakespeare's sonnets. They were 1,500 years after this. This was written by a man known as Paul, and he wrote it to an early Christian community in the famous Greek city, Corinth. But the thing that makes this beautiful is we're in a world where things are changing so fast. But the words that he wrote 2,000 years ago are still true. Love doesn't change. Love is still patient. Love is still kind. And most importantly, love still never fails. And that's been true for 2,000 years, and it'll be true for 2,000 years from now. That's why we celebrate love. That's why we have weddings. That's why we're here today, to celebrate the love and the marriage of these two wonderful people, Joseph and Anne. Okay. Usually go to the vows, but I want to take a minute because I know these two people and I want to just a little bit about them, and then I want to talk to them for a second. I will never forget the first time I met you. You were living in that tiny apartment, the first apartment in grad school. It was a tiny, tiny apartment, and it wasn't the case in grad school. She had a roommate. Thankfully, the roommate seemed really, really nice. You came over, and Anne had told you that Mom and I liked chicken tikka masala. So it was me, it was Mom, it was Michael. And you came over, and you two in the kitchen made chicken tikka masala. I felt kind of bad because, first of all, you two were nervous because you were meeting us for the first time. Secondly, the kitchen was tiny, and chicken tikka masala is a dish that dirties a million dishes. It was so bad that Joseph actually brought some of his kitchen supplies over so that he'd have enough. The meal was wonderful, but the highlight of the night was meeting you for the first time, and even more than that, watching the two of you together in the kitchen. You were wonderfully a team in the kitchen. It was obvious that you two were comfortable with each other. When you're cooking a meal like that, who's in charge? Flips back and forth constantly. Neither one of you had trouble with that. If Joseph was in the lead, Anne would be like, what can I do to help? If Anne was taking the lead on something, Joseph was like, what can I? They listened to each other and they treated each other with respect. It was a joy to watch the two of them together. And I knew that very first night that there was something really special about the two of you. One of the greatest joys of my whole life has been watching that relationship grow since then. So many things I could talk about. But I want to talk about two things that are probably my two favorite things about you two as a couple. Number one, trust. You two are famous. It's not just me. I've had other people comment on it, and I've heard the two of you comment on it. One of the things that you two do phenomenally well is you trust each other. You have faith in each other. You have respect with each other. That is just, it's so refreshing. It is such a joy to be around the two of you. The second one, and this one's going to sound a little strange, but I've thought a lot about what's the single most important piece of married life. And one thing that you two do really great, you're a cute couple. But I've been lucky enough to spend enough time with you that I've seen you two together. When you're together, but you're doing your own thing separately. The freedom to be yourself, the freedom to not have to put on acts, but to be able to be yourself. That is the single most important thing in a marriage. And you two already do it phenomenally well. I love the fact that the two of you are coming into this with love, trust, and authenticity that you can be yourselves. I cannot wait for what the future holds for the two of you. I'm going to cry. I've done great. This is the part where there's a good chance that someone is going to win the bet. Okay. And I finally said, threw it out. You, Joseph, are one of the finest men I have ever known. You have values and morals. You're brilliant. You're calm, but you're not just calm. You have this uncanny gift to calm other people around you. You have a wonderful sense of humor. You have the most amazing family in the world. And I am so happy to be welcoming you as my son. Thank you, James. And I love you. You remind me. The reason I say that is your defining characteristic of no. that that's her number one characteristic, is compassion. You're brilliant, but your brilliance takes a really unique form. You have a quest for knowledge and a quest for stories that's insatiable. If you don't have your head in a book and nice, or picking up some new knowledge, then you are. Most of you know me, know that I am extremely disabled. And in the 15 years that I've been disabled, you have never once made me feel disabled. Everything I could ask of a daughter. And just like I am so thrilled about having Joseph as my son, I know that Kim, Ron, and Beth cannot wait to have you for their daughter. Okay, enough of crying. Single most important part of the whole wedding is the vows. A marriage is a commitment between two people. Okay? The vows are the heart, not just of marriage. Now, Anne and Joseph have picked their vows, okay? And I want to make sure I have the exact wording, because the last thing I want to do is get this point wrong. Okay. Joseph is going to go first. Is I'm going to say the line, and then Joseph's going to repeat it, and then obviously when Joseph's done, we'll then do Anne. I, Joseph, take you, Anne Karen Williams, to be my wife.
I, Joseph, take you, Anne Karen Williams,
to have and to hold from the in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. I, Anne, take you, Joseph Richard Asanovich Kincaid, to be my husband.
I, Anne, take you, Joseph Richard Asanovich Kincaid, to be my husband.
To have Anne and Joseph have chosen rings to exchange with each other as the commitment of love to one another. Okay. It's confusing because I have to remember that I give Joseph Anne's ring and I give Anne Joseph's ring. Okay. You can slide it up. Anne's finger. Please repeat after me with Okay. And as you place this ring on Joseph's finger, please repeat after me. With this ring, I pledge my devotion.
With
Now, best part of the whole, by the power vested in me by the Southern Baptist Church, I now pronounce you two husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride. I now invite you to welcome the new married couple, Doctors Ann Williams and Joseph Kincaid. So happy. Did it. Okay, blow my nose. Oh, let's. Yeah, and